Learning.
That is amazing that he's there with you.
All righty, commissioners, welcome back. And back to you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. We're returning to our open session of the board work session for today, Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. This is Chair Catherine Harrington with Vice Chair Commissioner Director Pam Treese, Director Snyder, and Director Fye is expected back in the room momentarily. Director Willie is excused this week. So, topic 7, process to appoint interim chief executive officer / general manager with Elizabeth Edwards, chief of staff.
Good afternoon, Clean Water Services Board Directors. Thank you so much for this time. For the record, Elizabeth Edwards, Chief of Staff with Clean Water Services. Here before you, as you said, to talk about the process for appointing an interim CEO and general manager and receive direction from the board. Rick Shanley, as you know, was appointed acting CEO and general manager effective June 6th of this year under Resolution and Order 25-7. That resolution and order underlined the board's commitment to supporting the operational success of Clean Water Services and its employees without interruption and providing leadership to ratepayers and customers. It also went on to talk about a public process to develop criteria for an interim and conduct a full recruitment process to identify qualified candidates. We're now about 3 months in to this acting phase of leadership and are due to appoint an interim leader. In conversations with board members, my understanding is that there is a desire to focus our time and attention and effort into a robust and public process to develop criteria and conduct a full national recruitment for CWS's next permanent leader. To that end, we have the ability to make amendments to the RNO to shift that focus to the permanent leader recruitment, should that be the desire of the board. We do still need to have a public discussion around the criteria for an interim leader, which is part of what we want to do today. Want to open up for board discussion and input on what that desired criteria may be. I can offer up some examples and then walk through what the relevant next steps are.
Go.
So one of the questions, obviously, is not to presuppose the action of the or desire of the board, but we have our acting CEO. One of the criteria could be continuity of operations and leadership and performance of the current acting leader, and is the desire of the board to proceed with transitioning the acting leader into the interim leader.
Recommend that be a very strong criteria component.
What, from my standpoint, I want to make sure that in addition to that continuity of operations for the, primary reason of the public health with wastewater recovery and surface water management, however it's wordsmithed, that we keep in mind that going through a national search for a permanent CEO could take us through the end of Q1 or the end of the fiscal year even, because we've been through the experience where we've had multiple hirings where multiple months were needed for said person to transition out of their existing job. So, which has caused me to think about the executive leadership team and the interim CEO are going to have to put together a proposed budget for the next fiscal year. But I also want to make sure that we continue to have the proper financial audit means taken care of in working with the CFO and the audit committee, and certainly all of the proper, I put it under the umbrella of HR practices, not that it reports to the current HR department or division or whatever letter it is. I don't have my org chart in front of me, but I want to make sure that there's continuity of the organization and that the executive leadership team works together with the interim CEO for continuity of the organization as we go through the national search.
I think you're right that who almost doesn't matter what the timing is. Even if someone were on board by the end of the first quarter, they're not going to be running the budgetary process for next year.
Mhm.
So that's clearly an important criteria to be prepared to lead the organization through next year's both budget and capital improvement planning.
And along with that, I think the other piece is to aid and support the transition for the permanent leader.
Yes.
Maybe themselves, but if it's not, it should definitely be in the criteria as well.
And we know that there's continuity also needs to state the functioning under the current permit. And I know there are long lead items towards that next permit, but I don't know, I can't remember what the timing is on that. 2028 maybe?
Sooner than that, and we'll walk through that on our work session.
Okay, terrific. So,
And we kind of talk about that. If Brad is under Caroline, that I think that continuity of work between all members of the ELT is critical.
well, it's not just Brad, the general counsel is,
RAD,
oh, Rad.
sorry, RAD, regulatory.
I actually
affairs.
heard Brad too.
I'm sorry,
I'm glad-
RAD.
Yeah, no, I got it.
I apologize.
Yeah.
And
It
all
happens
the
more often than you
regulatory,
think.
all the regulatory efforts, if they are under Caroline, we have to ensure that the GM is working smoothly with,
Yeah, is on, and on top of that, ultimately,
Yeah,
the
well,
buck stops with the GM.
we also have, we had for multiple years been expecting that we would have new IGAs for Hillsborough and Beaverton.
Mhm.
The Cornelius one has come in. I believe the Beaverton one is still outstanding, and I don't know what the next wave is. So,
But the IGA process is.
yeah, our partner city agreements. And then Scoggins Dam, that needs to be on the list simply because there are certain things that can't just be neglected. So I'm in the travels that I've had on the CWS internal website around goal share. The goals through this last year, where the payout was just done in this month, September, I haven't seen any new goals, and that doesn't usually come to the board at all. But if we're expecting our interim and permanent, eventually CEO to be managing that program, then there should be some level of visibility for the board. And I don't want employees, here's what I don't want, right? The worst case is that that program is dropped, right? Leaving the employees left out. I also don't recall, we also have union agreements, and I don't know if we have anything. I want the relationship to be continued to be managed, but I don't know if I think there's just one union with CWS, the Teamsters, and I don't know when that next contract.
a lot of the areas I hear you describing are, to me, are like maintaining the operations of the organization, whether it's the labor, the compliance with the
Regulatory.
with the regulatory stuff, like all of that is like the maintaining.
Yes, but we
of the
need to take
business.
stock of what.
Yeah,
goes
and be
on.
more specific than
Or just have a bullet
Yeah.
list.
what
Right.
it is.
Then there had been the actions of the CWI, which I think Caroline has taken care of already, transitioning that out, terminating it. But there's also been the Ripple and I believe there's still certain contracts with Ostera and things related to
As far
that.
as the fertilizer.
Yep. And there were certain expectations on the general counsel with regard to Ripple that I think may still be outstanding, and I don't want them to be lost. That's all. And then for the interim CEO, there's also managing Quick. So
Just a few things.
Are you taking notes of all those different pieces? And I think that they can be embedded, as you were both saying, in the operations and management of the organization moving forward, such as
yeah, and what I think we're coming to is there may be some documents that were public as part of the contract, right? The annual contract for the CEO was public, and there was an evaluation overall memo, but there was underlying information that was part of the executive session for the CEO review that may not have been public. And I think given what we've been through here in 2025 with a former CEO, I think there's a certain amount of, in order to continue rebuilding the public trust, we want to make sure that the public has enough visibility, there's enough public documentation of how large the interim CEO and then permanent CEO job is.
And you just brought up an issue that I hadn't thought about previously, and that is in this, as we move to an interim, and with the expectation that this will be at a minimum 10 months, minimum, from June, starting in June.
From June to end of June is 12 months.
Yeah, 12. So what is the performance review cycle within that as well?
Yeah.
And that's another piece that I think that we need to make sure that the person agrees to a performance review cycle, and a 6-month review cycle would be in November.
Starting soon.
Well, no, I think for the interim, I think it's important that we affirm what our expectations / goals are. And here we are in September.
Wow.
And so I think we can just go to June and make sure that you are
feedback in the
each,
moment.
make sure that you're each continuing, if you're not already having regular one-on-ones, at least monthly with our interim CEO.
Regular board communication.
Yep.
I think that sounds pretty robust so far.
Let's hope Rick doesn't say forget it.
It's like you'll need to consider
They
something.
call my lawyer.
I don't have anything more to add. It's a big agency.
It's a big agency.
Yeah, there's a lot going
I
on.
guess the other question of the moment is, I believe that we've all said that we're thumbs up with Rick being the interim moving forward.
I think that is an absolute
Yes.
kind of imperative at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. I just want to make sure that Elizabeth has that
Clear
as
direction.
well.
Thank you. Don't want to get ahead of the board or
No.
make any assumptions. Yeah.
But what is a question mark to me is I want to make sure that he's had at least the benefit of watching this, at least the benefit of some kind of expectations, understanding. And I don't know if we do that through just an open work session before we have action on a resolution and order.
What were you planning for the schedule for the resolution and order?
So depending on the level of feedback provided, we were prepared to move forward as quickly as next week with a resolution order that would amend 25-7. However, this is a little bit
Rick
to appoint Rick. Yeah,
as the interim.
as the interim. We might have some greater revisions and edits based on this robust feedback that we've received, which is excellent. So it may take us another week before we're able to bring that back to the board, just to be prudent and then make sure that we're capturing the information.
Which is our October 7th meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to make sure is said is that compensation for this position will be retroactive back to his date of being appointed as acting. I don't think it,
Isn't it June?
I thought it was June
June
6th.
6th. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
Auspicious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and that day we'll have a 9 o'clock work session and then a 10 o'clock business meeting. So it means the first agenda item would need to be this item.
You have the housing authority first at 10 and then
Yeah.
10:40.
Yes, but what I'm struggling to remember, and I know I'm not current on rolling agendas. Is it the 7th or the 8th? The Tuesday.
7th.
Okay. We have a pretty full agenda that day, and what I'm proposing prior to looking at this rolling agenda is that we start with the CWS item first. Because otherwise we can't take action on it till October 21st. So I want to make sure, yeah. So September 23rd feels a little too rushed since he's not back until tomorrow, right?
Correct. The 18th, Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little
And
too
we have
rushed.
to be ready on Thursday.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll have to work with Ms. Angie and Kevin on the agenda for that particular Tuesday, October 7th. And also, we should probably make this an action item for the business meeting
Yeah.
as well.
Not a consent item.
And legal needs to make sure they review the documentation. What I'm looking for documentation wise is that there be this overview of a summary document of board expectations. And I can certainly work with you and Pam on that. And Pam's been during the process of getting the interim done. So, but since I was referring to other documents, I need to make myself available. Okay,
Okay.
anything else?
Oh.
Can we imagine if Jerry might think of anything else? Since he's not,
Be supportive of
I'm sure it'd be.
where we
supportive, Rick.
headed, and I think he'd be impressed by your list.
Okay.
I was.
One bit of good news, Chair. Next week we'll have the Beaverton IGA.
oh,
Not on consent,
on the action
on
item,
the action item.
terrific.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
But
That's what teams is
Closing
for,
the-
right?
Yeah.
yeah, we have 3, but we still have a handful of
We do.
others.
We do,
Okay,
yeah.
so just having a little insight and this can come at a learning day, when those are coming would be great.
You got it.
And it is that the coordination of the team and the accountability that Rick holds that team to, where
Mhm.
Joe's doing the IGAs and all those things.
Exactly. Thank you so much for the discussion and feedback today. I really appreciate it. And we'll get moving on next steps.
Terrific, great. Any steps forward? So I believe that's it for our work session for today. So it is now 2:33 and we're hereby adjourned. Thank you.